Hello, I'm the Anime Viewer 66, and today we're going to be taking a look at a true classic of anime, Afro Samurai. Gonna go ahead and give the warning now. This show is very much adult oriented, 18 plus and whatnot. It has violence and gore to Hellsing Ultimate levels. It has swearing out the wazoo, and of course, brief scenes of nudity. If you are underage or just happen to be offended by such things, then I suggest you look elsewhere for your entertainment. With that out of the way, let's look at what is truly a masterpiece of animation, Afro Samurai. Now, I should qualify what I mean as masterpiece of animation. I mean just that. The animation itself is glorious. The story is kind of half and half. We'll get to that in a minute. But I would just like to say that I have not seen sword fights this amazing in a very long time. I thought Samurai Champloo could have incredible sword fights, but this show puts that to shame. The story itself is pretty straightforward. It's just a revenge plot type thing. There are two headbands, one called number one and one called number two. Whoever wears the number one cannot be touched by anyone. He is pretty much a god amongst men. The number two headband, everyone fights over like mangy dogs over the last bone, because whoever wields the number two is the only person who can fight number one and eventually claim the title, hopefully. So, of course, this leads to our main character, Afro Samurai, whose father, who was the previous number one, got killed, and now he's on a revenge spree to revenge his father and to get the number one headband for himself, leading the life of a true warrior. The main problem I have with the story isn't even the story itself, it's the fact they only gave themselves 5 episodes to be able to tell the story, and that is nowhere near enough time. Anything that you thought was going to happen way later on in the story happens almost immediately. People come and go in a flash, and you feel like there was no real impact to their character. Besides for the Afro Samurai himself, no one else really gets too much fleshing out, save for maybe one other side character you meet at the very end. The Afro Samurai himself is the strong, silent type, preferring to let his sword do the talking for him. He basically is Sasuke, except not as whiny and also 1,000 times cooler. And of course, he has a little sidekick, which, okay, the sidekick, I don't know if he ever gets a name, but he is the best comic relief I have ever seen in a show ever. I wanted there to be more of him, but there sadly was not enough, even in 5 episodes. There needs to be more. I need to make a spin off show, even if it's just this character, like going around just doing stuff. It'd be awesome. Another problem I have with this show is that it just didn't seem real, if that makes any sense. There seemed to be no law, no order, no real anything going on. No government or anything. It just seemed to be people had swords. They fought with swords. That's all you need to know. Granted, it's a 5 episode anime, as I've mentioned before. There's not exactly a lot of time for world building, but I would have liked to see at least a few things here and there pointing that there was some sort of power in charge and that there wasn't just wandering bandits every which way. Like, seriously, a world can't survive in that. They had, like, inns and houses and whatnot. Stuff like that couldn't happen in what seems to be a pure anarchy like they have going on here. I just didn't get it. At the end of the day, I give this show 4 stars out of 5. While the story itself is nothing spectacular, you would be doing yourself a great disservice if you didn't check this anime out, at least for the animation itself, because it is glorious. Until next time we meet, I'm the Anime Viewer 66. Thank you, and good night.